Now, I understand that this collaboration that you did with Crossover TV, you utilized a network of friends and people from the DC scene to help put together a track. Can you just talk about what song you guys picked and maybe some of the intentions behind it?
And so you want to go ahead with that one first? And then
yeah, sure. Well, the intentions are always to be the star and the center of the attention. That is always the intention. No, it just again, it's just it came out as an idea on how to. It's just a little inspiration on how to perhaps put this thing together, and then like you look at the album and then you think what bands will be the best to do these tunes justice. That's what it really kind of came down to. And thinking of the collaborations, there are certain collaborations that we could not ignore at all. Otherwise, we would have been murdered by now, would have been thrown in the middle of the Capitol. And such as our dear friend, Mary Jo Matea from Dear Daria. And she was basically the first name that popped up. And in other words, also, hi, Mary Jo. She is our fifth Beatle, technically. So we've worked with her previous in what, like 2 separate occasions, right? We did the crossover with her, and but we also did the Led Zeppelin gig for Ben Tubbs and Friends, charity gig.
1969 tribute.
1969 tribute, right? And we were in charge of doing.
That was at Gypsy Sally's at the time, wasn't it? That was the last event that Ben hosted it. That's right.
Yeah. May rest in peace. So so we just took it from there, and then we just went down the catalog and basically just thinking of names and bands and who would do again a terrific rendition of it.
Yeah. And as far as the ones that we picked, like we were a little selfish in a couple of the tunes that we selected. But we tried to make them more obvious, and when we did, we kept them a little bit closer to the originals, and sort of like establishing the baseline, because the whole thing began as sort of the idea of this being like a live performance, right? So like the idea was to just kind of have BDP be the basically sort of like the house band, and then just have our friends come up and join us over the course of the evening, and then live music ceased to exist. And so had the bright idea of, hey, we'll put just to Crossover TV, see what Avik has to say, and then go from there. But yeah, I mean, I think the plan was just to make sure we got the first one, the self-titled track, and then go from there and make sure everyone was doing something that they were enjoying. So
the scariest part was after Avik said, "Yeah, I'm in."
I think they were expecting me to say no. I think that was the thing. It's just like, oh, all right, now we've actually got to go through with it. So,
right.
But no, I mean, it was amazing. I mean, when they came to me with the idea, I was kind of like, man, this sounds like a lot of work. It's really a lot of work. I mean, we're almost at the end of this now. This is obviously being recorded before this thing, is released. But I don't know how many man hours of work have we put into this collective. I mean, there must be like between 2,000 and 3,000 man hours, I think, in terms of all of the work that's gone into doing this. It's really a lot of work. But
at least 3 recounts worth of time that we've put into this.
But it's just when you think about the number of people that are involved, the amount of time that's involved, the logistics involved. I mean, putting this off has been. And credit to Josh and Enzo, who've taken like sort of the lead on this and doing all the things that take a lot of time, which is the herding of the cats, let's say. But it's been a phenomenal accomplishment. I'm just really happy that when they called, that we did say yes to doing this, because it's been a really rewarding experience being involved in it.
This is every single track from Lonely Hearts Club Band, right? Mm-hmm. The entirety of the album. And so is Black Dog Prowl in every track, or is it kind of like you're kind of on stage and then more people come in and you go off and come back? Like what's the format going to be?
Well, so it's modeled after the Crossover TV lockdown sessions. So it basically is kind of it's essentially a live performance, sort of in a way, but everyone kind of records it where they are. They put their parts in, and then it all just gets mashed together, and what comes out is sort of this raw, but really fun like version of these songs, like in every sense of it. So yeah, I mean, we're not in every song. Enzo, I think, makes a couple cameos in a few. Like he's featured in the Johnny Grave one, playing some snare drum, I guess, and then a few other things. And yeah, there's kind of like a mixing and matching. But I think that Mary Jo has the most appearances throughout the entire record, which makes sense. It's like if someone did a Nirvana thing and didn't call me, I'd be furious about it. It's the same type of thing with Mary Jo. If we didn't have her heavily involved, we would have had hell to pay, I think.
Well, we're just not telling you.
Yeah.
Oh no,
we've already laid it down. It's all done. Crossover, never mind. It's done. When you mentioned it the other day, I was just like, oh no, he's onto us. Onto us. Someone told him. You didn't tell him, Enzo.
So everybody's recording all of their tracks from home and then sending them to Avik, and Avik, you're doing all of the editing and audio production.
Yeah, I mean, Rich does all the audio stuff from our side. Some of the bands decided to mix their own audio, and that's cool. I mean, anything that can help with the process, to be honest. But yeah, the video editing is taken between Chris and myself, and yeah, everyone is recording their own individual video track plus the audio track. I mean, it's such a fascinating way to sort of see this all come together, because all of these people, there's like over 40 musicians recording their own individual parts for these 14 songs, and you're just like, wow. And you know, watching it all come together or putting it all together is really a phenomenal experience, because it's beautiful just to see this art come together. And you know, like I said, I mean, I'm so proud of how this has come together. It's really one of the things that I've done in my life. Go, oh wow, this feels like something. You know, it's like it's really a masterpiece. I mean, I know I've been involved in it, but I don't use the word sort of lightly. It's a masterpiece in terms of what's been done under the circumstances, and to kind of capture that spirit of the moment in terms of everyone's at home, everyone's recording from home, but you're kind of bringing people together through this strange sort of, you know, format that we've got, you know, strangely engaging format of, you know, being divided by screens and then using that lockdown sessions format to create this. But you know, like I said, it's just great to have been involved in all of this.
Has there been any costumes or staging? Is it like are there any pre-setups that make it feel like somebody submitting it to a Tiny Desk concert or something like that?
There's definitely some props. I got myself one of I tried to get the color closest to the John Lennon coat from the album cover, but it's not quite the same, not quite the same green, but yeah. And everyone and Mary Jo got really creative with her costume changes, and yeah,
Seth.
different levels. Yeah. Seth had some wigs and ties and
there's a rubber chicken. There's a rubber chicken.
Yep.
And Avik, you'll be on tambourine at some point, I'm sure, right?
I've avoided the temptation. It's like you know, the guys ask me, say, "Oh, would you like to do a cameo?" You know, I'm pretty good behind the camera. In front of it, I'll leave that to you guys.
What about?
There are some good cameos too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there? How much can you share versus how much you're trying to keep a surprise till you know for sure that everything's going to launch the way you hope?
Oh, I think everything's going to launch. So I mean, I think because you're planning to do this afterwards, right, Daniel? So I mean, I'll let Josh and Enzo talk about, because they've organised all the cameos, which I think is amazing. But I'll leave it to them.
Yeah, I rather let's leave it as a element of surprise. I would say, like, so it's just more fun when you say it's like, oh, but yeah, if the executive,
there's some locals and there's some not so locals, so it's good. I mean, the biggest thing I think that was different, like, we did model it after the lockdown sessions, but the thing that was a little bit different from that is lockdown was kind of a mix and match of different musicians in terms of, and the thing that I really enjoyed about that, my participation in that, which was great, was that I was working with people that I hadn't necessarily worked with before. And it was kind of fun meeting new people, working with new people, and trying like sort of a genres that you're not necessarily familiar with, which was cool. This one is a little different in the sense that like we did bring in bands that were already pre-existing, and so they were able to take it on in that way. But yeah, I mean, to echo what Avik was saying, this is something that we're extremely proud of, and you know, even though it's not our work in terms of the original pieces, we hope that we put some sort of kind of stamp on it, and it's something that I don't know, we wanted to just do something that was fun and would entertain people, as opposed to like, you know, making a statement of any kind, and just getting as many people that were into the idea as possible on board. And you know, the analogy Avik has been fond of using is eating the elephant, and we certainly could not have done that without Avik and the Crossover TV team. So we're extremely grateful.
Yeah, there's also the element of we having again a wide variety of bands involved in this, and it's not just rock bands only. We had bands that go more on the indie rock department. Other ones took it a bit more on the electronica end of things, but the bottom line is like every band that submitted their tune is, without being a competition, it's just like they all knocked it out of the park. Like every time we received a song from whomever, every time we were all just floored and excited about it too. It's just like it kind of kept you on, or it kept us with this like fire to keep working on it. As it's like, oh, can't wait for the new song, for the other song from the other bands to submit their material and to see their videos, because that's I think that was the best. To me, that was the best of it all.
Will there ever be a live, like, bringing together of all of these people and all of these elements when the opportunity presents itself?
Yeah, we hope so. Hopefully at a local venue, and support of a local venue as well, and try to make the most of it too. Of course, a different type of logistics to do a live version,
right?
You know,
Sure.
that, you know, may end up putting the lockdown session process as an easier
right.
But we'll see. But the original idea was to do it live, and now that we did it under this approach, I think the idea gets gains more steam to actually make it happen whenever we are able to do shows and be all together now.
The other cool thing is that, like, I think with some of the bands that we picked, it's sort of like bands that we're friends with, but maybe not, or maybe just fans of, that maybe we wouldn't have fit on a bill with previously. And so just to be able to work with a different set of artists and people who we have a lot of respect for and are very, very talented, it's been awesome.
And I think that fits in with the kind of crossover type approach in terms of different bands and different genres coming together and creating something together, and this totally fits with all of that. And I think that's why it was really interesting for us when they came at us with this idea. And the other thing which was interesting about it, which we've not talked about, is, you know, normally we'd come out and we'd do these individual songs, right? So we'll come out and each song will be like, you know, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, whatever. Enzo comes through with the idea. He goes, no, I want to do the whole album just as one track, one video. And I was like, that's really interesting. I've never seen that done before. And how do we even do that from a video perspective in terms of bringing it all together? But I mean, I just love it for a number of reasons. I think, you know, the whole idea about, you know, sort of the authenticity of vinyl and the way that when people used to listen to vinyl, yeah, you kind of had to listen to the whole record, right? So there was no selecting your favorite track or putting on a playlist or anything like that. It was, you know, you kind of work your way through the record and you grow to love that record. And I feel that the way of doing the video like this as a single video is really similar to that. It's sort of a homage to that in terms of, you know, you start at the beginning, and if you want to really get to the end, you have to actively jump or move the needle to that part of the record, and it's the same with this video. So, you know, it's a single video. It's a single video which is, you know what, 50 something minutes long, and I think that's also unique about what we're doing in this project, and again Enzo's idea on that.
And so why Lonely Hearts? Is that specifically like because of pandemic
No, again, this idea has been brewing since, gosh, 2019, and of doing it live, and it was like about last year. I was listening to the record again, and then it just clicked on me. And Josh had been working with Avic in these lockdown sessions. And again, it's just like listening to the album. Then Josh is putting out this collaboration with Avic, and then I just checked with Josh. I was like, "Hey, Josh, how about doing the album, and we do it under this concept and top to bottom, just like the record." And like the rough idea is like perhaps we are the core band, and then get the guests, but then it evolved to let's just give the songs to this particular bands so they can have full creative freedom with them, and that's how it just turned out to be. And even though we're a little, we're about 3 years after the 50th anniversary, so we'll be celebrating the 53rd anniversary. It's a great thing because the album, each song within the album has its own concept. Even though it's all put together, but every song is different from the other. And with that approach and having many bands, all these great bands like Color Palette and the Creaky Bones as well, doing this and having their own take on it, and then we get it, and it's just like seriously, it could not be any better.
So Lonely Hearts is a perfect concept for this project because of the fact that you have all of these additional musicians and their ability to all make their own individual kinds of contributions.
Yeah, it definitely ended up playing that well. That and ended up going in that direction, and we're so glad it did so.
How long until we can get, Black Dog Prowl back live in front of an audience? What's that timeline looking like?
We'll have to see. I mean, we haven't played a show actually since last October. Right? Is that right? Yeah, because we did the Fillmore show with Candlebox, and then that was like the same month that I got married, and then the Nationals won the World Series. So it was all just coasting from there. And then the pandemic hit, and we've who knows? The answer, your guess is as good as ours at this point in terms of a live show.
The last EP that you released was Resigned Lousy State with the single Cigarette Butts and that was a continuation of an EP that you guys had put out before that. That was Fine Lousy State, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So can we expect a continuation of like research and recording into the concepts that you put behind these two EPs?
I mean, I think there's always a kind of like a continued, there's like a common theme, I guess, sort of that runs through all the songs, mostly just being pissed off and directing our anger somewhere productive. But I mean, we have had discussions about what our next project is going to look like, and we're very much in a writing phase at this point, but hopefully we hope to have an EP out sometime in 2021. All things, if all things go according to plan.
I'm sure everybody will be looking forward to it. Thank you guys so much for taking the time. I can't wait to be a part of promoting this, and supporting local music, supporting a collaboration between artists is certainly something I'm really passionate about, and really grateful to be in touch with all of you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Daniel.